Hello, it's Granny Manners here again. Now today we're going to talk about eating soup. Now soup is a really nutritious meal. There's lots of vegetables in soup. Well, you can have soup of any kind actually, but mine today is a vegetable soup and it's got some leeks, some potatoes, some cabbage, some courgette and some vegetable stock. And I have to say, it is really quite tasty. First of all, we put our napkin on our knee. Do you remember that? Napkin on the knee so that we can just dab our mouths like that. So because we're having soup, we have a special soup spoon. Now that is a different shape from the dessert or pudding spoon. It's got a much rounder bowl. Can you see that? Because obviously we put the soup in, and sometimes soup has bits in it as well. And we also eat the soup from the side of the spoon. But let's go back to the table setting. We're going from the outside in again. So we have the soup spoon and its partner is the bread knife because we've got a nice bread roll to eat with our soup there. Then we have the main course knife and fork. Remember how we hold them? Tuck them into the palm of the hand. Big fingers there. And then of course the last thing we have is our pudding spoon and fork. And if we're lining them up properly, that rule of thumb to make everything look really nice. There we are. I've got water on the right hand side that goes with the knives and spoons, and the bread plate is on the left, which goes with the forks. So before I start my soup, I'm going to eat my bread, but we don't actually cut bread with a knife. The most correct thing is to break the bread. So you break a piece off and then you get your butter. Now, I have got a butter knife here. So I'm going to take the piece of butter that I need and put it on the plate. Then I put the butter knife back on the dish there. Now, if you don't have a butter knife, it's fine. You can just take it with your bread knife. So then I'm going to actually just take the bit of bread that I'm going to eat and I just butter that. I don't butter the whole thing. This is the most correct way to do it. I butter the bread as I go along. Now, I don't dunk it in my soup. This is when I'm having a nice dinner party. If I was in the kitchen at home on my own, I might, but really it is not the most polite thing. So we take the soup spoon. Now, as I say, you use it at the side like this. Now, I have put a little bit of decoration on my soup because although you can't see it that clearly, I suppose, it does look, if it's just looking rather mushy, just a sort of mess, it's not really appetizing. And part of the thing with food is to make us want to eat it. So the nicer it looks, the better it tastes. So I have put on this, in this soup, just on the top, a little piece of sage flower there, just to give it a little bit of colour. And I've also put a tiny bit of cream on top, a little swirl. I don't know whether you can see that, just to make it look a little bit more appetizing. So I take my spoon, and I go sideways like that, and then I eat it. Very nice. Now, unfortunately, the angle that I'm having to film at means that I can't get very near the soup because you don't want to spill it in between your mouth and the spoon. So again, take it from the side. You have to lean forward a little bit. And it's very nice. So take a few mouthfuls. Not too big a mouthful, then you won't spill it. From the side, and then while you're still eating, I'm have a bit of my bread now. Put the spoon just there. So again, you can see I've taken quite a big mouthful there. It's taken me quite a long time to swallow it. So if somebody asked me a question, I wouldn't be able to answer it without having something in my mouth. So the best thing is to take a very small mouthful, like that, so I can quickly swallow it and carry on talking, even if there's the most tiny bit in your mouth, as long as I'm not, which isn't very nice, and I'm sure you never do that. Then I go back to my soup. So that is how you eat soup, from the side. You have to come down a bit because otherwise the soup could spill. And just make sure that it's not dripping on the bottom. Now, when you've finished, you put the spoon there at the side of the plate, but on the saucer. Now you can eat soup in this sort of bowl as well, in which case you would eat the same, have your soup, but you would put the spoon like that in the bowl. Now, of course, if you haven't got soup spoons, and not everybody has these days, you can use this sort of spoon. So if we just try with that, soup spoons are easy because you can actually get more on your spoon. So again, I would still probably take it from the side, more or less. But because this spoon is more pointed, it's easier perhaps to take it in a more straightforward way. So soup, as I say, is a very, very nice starter to the meal. Now, you can also have soup as just a meal. Often at lunchtime, I only have soup if I'm having a light lunch, and I'll have some bread to go with it. But whatever you do, practice first, because practice does make perfect. And if any of you would like to video yourselves eating soup and then send it to me, I would absolutely love that, to see how you're getting on. But meanwhile, I'm going to carry on with mine because I'm quite hungry now and I'm quite enjoying this soup. I must say it is one of my better ones. So let's just recap everything we've just learned about soup and bread, shall we? Setting the table again. Now, you can often have a table mat. This has got a picture of a horse, because I happen to like horses, and it just stops a hot dish making a mark on a wooden table. Or you can have something like that, which is plain and simple and perfectly all right. It doesn't matter what you have, it's whatever you like. I'll put the horses back because I quite like horses. So we've got the table mat. We've got, because we're having soup, we've got the soup spoon on the right. We have got the main course knife on the right. We've got the pudding spoon on the right. And we've got the glass of water on the right. We've also now got the pudding fork on the left, and then the main course fork on the left, with the bread plate, our napkin, and the bread knife, which can actually be here, or it can be here, which I quite like. And your napkin can be on your side plate like that, or it can actually be in the middle of your placemat. You can also make lovely shapes with napkins, but I'm afraid I'm not very good at that. But if Mummy or Daddy are good, or if you go onto YouTube, you can make swans, you can make hats, and that can look very nice in the middle of your placemat there. So again, we're setting the table. I'm going to put that on there and make it look tidy. I'm then going to redo, making sure everything is in line, making sure that it looks nice and tidy and professional. There's the water there. So we firstly put our napkin on our knee, as you know. And the napkin can be folded that way, with the folds there, and those folds going towards you, or you can do it that way round, and that fold going towards your waist. But actually I prefer, which is actually the American way, to do it this way, because, as I think I said before, just dab your mouth and then put it back on your knee. So there we've got the nicely set table. We've also got a butter dish with a butter knife. Now the butter knife is just a very small version of the bread knife. So a lot of people don't bother with butter knives, but I think they're quite nice. So they then just go on the side. You can put it either like that, or once it's been used, you can put it in the butter. But it always goes back in the butter, and you never spread your butter on your piece of bread. With that knife, you always put it straight onto the plate. So we're now going to just go through how we eat soup and do the bread again. So we've got the soup here, and if you remember, we use a soup spoon which has got a wider bowl, and we go like that. And if we want to get a bit more, if we've nearly finished, you tip the bowl away from you. Now, partly this is what is called etiquette, which is actually just a set of rules that we use when we're eating, and for other sorts of behaviour as well. But also it is actually more sensible. If we do it that way, we're more likely to spill it down ourselves. So going that way means you are less likely to spill it. And going back to the bread, we've broken some bread, so we just break off a little bit and then just butter what we're going to eat. So that if I only take that amount in my mouth, then I'm not going to have a mouthful if somebody wants to talk to me. So like that. And also it is good for the digestion. I don't know if you're like me, but I used to eat very, very fast. I would just grabbing the bread, wolfing it down, but actually it doesn't do you any good. And as you get older, you definitely don't, it doesn't do you any good. So eating slowly, chewing properly is important. If we don't chew our food, it doesn't get digested properly, and all these miles of digestive tract that we've got in our tummies here. So chewing properly is really important, which means that if we have a smaller piece, we can chew it very well. I'll see you very soon when we're going to do the main course, which is going to be some meat, some potatoes, some peas, and some green beans. See you soon.